In the world of high-stakes attraction and the complex dance between the sexes, there is one weapon in a man's arsenal that is more powerful than any argument, any gift, or any romantic speech. It isn't found in what he says, but in what he refuses to say. It is the power of stillness. Most men believe that to lead, they must be active. They believe that to keep a woman interested, they must be constantly doing something. They think they need to be the one to initiate the talk, the one to solve her every emotional whim, and the one to fill every gap in the conversation. But in the reality of human psychology, it is the man who can remain perfectly still while the world around him and the woman in front of him is in chaos, who holds the ultimate power. When a man masters the art of being still, he becomes a psychological mirror. And when a woman looks into that mirror and sees no reaction, no panic, and no desperation, she begins to question everything she thought she knew about him, about herself, and about the relationship. In the olden days, stillness was the hallmark of the hunter and the leader. A man had to sit in the silence of the woods for hours, waiting for the right moment to strike. He had to remain calm in the heat of battle when everyone else was losing their minds. This ability to regulate his own nervous system was what made him a pillar of the community. In recent times, however, we have become a reactive society. We are conditioned to respond to every notification, every ping, and every emotional outburst within seconds. We've lost the ability to just sit with a situation. When a man reclaims this ancient stillness, it feels like a glitch in the matrix to the modern woman. She is used to men who are triggered by her distance or rattled by her moods. When she encounters a man who is an immovable object, it triggers a deep, instinctive curiosity that quickly turns into a profound questioning of her own standing. Connected to this is the concept of the emotional vacuum. When a woman is used to being the one who dictates the vibe of the room, she expects the man to follow her lead. If she's cold, she expects him to be worried. If she's excited, she expects him to be her cheerleader. But when you remain still, when your emotional baseline doesn't shift regardless of her weather, you create a vacuum. Because you aren't filling the space with your reactions, she is forced to fill it with her own thoughts. The questioning starts with the simple things. She asks herself, "Why isn't he asking me what's wrong?" Or, "Why doesn't he seem bothered that I haven't texted him back?" But as the stillness continues, the questions get deeper. She starts to wonder if you've seen through her games. She starts to wonder if you've reached a level of self-worth where you no longer need her to validate your existence. This is the moment the frame shifts entirely in your favor. Imagine the psychological pressure of a man who is comfortably silent. In recent times, we've been told that silence is a sign of a problem. But for a high-value man, silence is a sign of peace. When you are still, you are signaling that you are enough, exactly as you are. You aren't performing for her. This stillness makes her question her own value. She begins to wonder, if he isn't chasing me, am I still the prize? Or is there something more important in his life than me? This is the birth of respect. You see, a woman cannot respect a man she can rattle. If her bad mood can ruin your day, then she is the leader and you are the follower. But if her bad mood bounces off your stillness like a wave hitting a cliff, she realizes that you are the dominant frequency. She begins to question her own behavior and starts to align herself with your peace, rather than trying to pull you into her chaos. Connected to this is the way stillness affects the chase. In the olden days, the chase was physical. In modern times, the chase is psychological. When you are still, you are effectively holding your ground. You aren't running toward her, and you aren't running away. You are just there. This creates a massive curiosity gap. She can't figure out what you're thinking, and because she can't figure it out, she has to spend more mental energy on you. She starts to overanalyze your stillness. She'll look at the way you're sitting, the way you're breathing, and the way you look past her into the distance. She'll question if she has lost her spark or if you have simply grown beyond her. This questioning is the ultimate reset for attraction. It moves her from a state of taking you for granted to a state of wondering if she can keep you. In recent times, we've seen a rise in the nice guy who thinks that emotional support means being an emotional sponge. He absorbs all her stress, all her drama, and all her complaints. He thinks he's being a good partner, but he's actually just becoming a dumping ground. When you practice stillness, you refuse to be that sponge. You let her emotions be her emotions. When she sees that you aren't going to carry her baggage for her, she is forced to confront it herself. This makes her question her own maturity. It makes her realize that she has been acting like a child and that you are the adult in the room. This quiet authority is incredibly attractive. It shows that you have the masculine detachment required to lead a relationship through the storms of life without losing the path. Connected to this is the biological mystery of the stoic male. Throughout history, the men who said the least were often the ones who knew the most. A woman's intuition tells her that your stillness is a sign of hidden depth. She starts to question what secrets or missions you are contemplating in that silence. She imagines you are planning your next big move, or that you are reflecting on things far more important than the petty drama of the day. This imagination is what builds the legend of the man. If you talk too much, you explain away your mystery. You become a known quantity. But in your stillness, you are infinite. You are whatever she needs you to be in that moment. Her questioning leads her to the conclusion that you are a man of substance, a man who doesn't need to shout to be heard. Think about the way stillness works during a conflict. Most men get defensive. They explain. They argue. They try to win the point. But the man who remains still, who just listens and looks her in the eye without reacting, is the one who truly wins. His stillness makes her question the validity of her own anger. She starts to feel loud and unreasonable in the face of his calm. She begins to realize that she is fighting a ghost. You aren't giving her any hooks to hang her anger on. Eventually, her fire burns out because it has no fuel from you. This is where the emotional collapse we've discussed often begins. The silence forces her to face herself, and in that moment, she realizes that she wants to be the kind of woman who deserves a man as grounded as you. In the olden days, the strong, silent type wasn't just a movie trope, it was a survival strategy. In recent times, we've tried to feminize men by telling them they need to talk about their feelings 24/7. But the stillness is your return to your natural state. It is your recentering. When you are still, you are home. And when a woman sees that you are at home in yourself, she wants to be there with you. She starts to question why she's so restless and why she's always looking for the next high. Your stillness becomes the anchor she's been looking for her entire life. She realizes that she doesn't need a man who will dance for her. She needs a man who will stand for her. However, you must understand that stillness is not coldness. Coldness is a reaction. Stillness is a state of being. Coldness is meant to hurt. Stillness is meant to hold. When you are still present. You are still there. You just aren't reacting. You are like the deep ocean. On the surface, there might be waves, but at the bottom, there is absolute unmoving calm. This depth is what she feels, and it is this depth that makes her question if she has what it takes to swim in your world. It raises the stakes of the relationship. It makes her realize that being with you is a privilege that requires her to bring her best, most feminine, and most respectful self to the table. Connected to this is the reinitiation of attraction. Once she has finished questioning everything, once she has realized that she cannot break your stillness, she will move into a state of softness. She will reach out, not with a test, but with a touch. She'll want to see if she can still connect to the man inside the silence. This is the golden moment, when you finally do break your stillness to offer her a smile, a kind word, or a firm embrace. It carries 10 times the weight it would have if you'd been chatty all day. Your attention becomes a reward again. She realizes that your stillness is the gold, and your attention is the currency. She starts to treat your words with the respect they deserve because she knows they aren't cheap. As we close this out, remember that the world wants you to be busy. The world wants you to be loud. The world wants you to be reactive. But your power lies in your ability to be still. When things get heated, be still. When she pulls away, be still. When the panic starts to rise in your own chest, be still. Let the quiet panic happen in her mind, not yours. Let her question everything. Let her wonder. Let her search for the answers in your silence. In the olden days, the man was the center and the woman was the circle. By remaining still, you are returning to the center. You are becoming the point around which her world revolves. Focus on the mission, stay in the frame, and remember, the man who can be still is the man who can move the world. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.